Welcome to my channel, Bring Peace into Your Life. Today I would like to talk about staying sane as a working parent. Now, I know a lot of working parents, myself included, it can be very difficult to juggle everything and make sure that you are working well at work, but you're also working well and efficiently in the house. It's busy, there's lots of multitasking, and it's constantly on the go. And it's very difficult sometimes to get a work-life balance. Quite often we can feel exhausted, overwhelmed, like we're spinning plates. So I'd like to go over 10 tips for staying sane as a working parent. So one of the first things I think is really important is putting your own mental health first. So quite often as a working parent, we are juggling lots of things. We're trying to be our best at work. We're trying to be our best at home as a mum or a dad and as a partner to our partners. And it can be a lot. But if you put your mental health first and you're rested, you're happy, you're healthy, it's really important because then you will put your best foot forward and you'll bring your best self to work and your family. Setting aside time for self-care is really important in this. You need to do what soothes and nourishes your soul and allocate time for you. When you allocate time for you to take care of yourself, make sure your mental health is tip top, make sure your physical health is on point. That can really help your family. And it's really important to start with yourself. Another thing that's really helpful is when there's lots going on and there's lots to juggle, it's really good to have a list or maybe a calendar or a family planner. I tend to always have a family planner up in the kitchen. It's really funny because my husband doesn't look at it at all, but I put all the stuff that we're doing in the calendar so that I make sure that I'm aware of what's going on. I also make lists at times, especially shopping lists, but I do make to-do lists, and it can be really helpful because what happens a lot of the time I find is that you've got a lot of things in your head and you're thinking, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that, or the kids have this coming up, or there's this day at school where it's a non-uniform day and they have to take in £1 and not wear the uniform. So there's a lot of things going on. And I find that when I write it down, make a list or I put it on the family planner, it really declutters my head and it means that I don't have to hold on to as much of a mental load and as much stuff in my head. And it really puts time into different chunks. So if you know that on a Wednesday morning there's something that has to be done or the kids have to take something to school, you know that on a Thursday afternoon there's an assembly or there's a concert. It's more manageable if you have all those things separated into different areas of the week, and that can be really helpful. So it's always good, also good to look at what needs to be done. So do you need to go shopping? Is there some cleaning that needs to be done? Is there some organising in the house? And if you can split that up into manageable sections, it means that you know what's going on and you know what time you have for different things. And also you know what time you have to put in your self-care and have some downtime. What I found is really important in my life is to find supportive people and have them around me. So I have my mum and I have my aunt who can be really helpful if I need some babysitting and stuff, and that's really important. But I also have some really good friends who have kids and they're really my people. What I can do is I know that I can message them, send them a voice note, I can send them a text, or I can phone them and say, look, this is happening, what do you think? Can I have some advice? This is going on. Or I can say, look, when are you free? Let's put a lunch in the diary, because that is included in my self-care as well as keeping my friendships going. So it's really good to build your own community and support. And it's good to share the good and the bad things with that community. Now, sometimes that will be someone close to you. It'll be someone you physically know and you see. Sometimes it will be an online community. It might be an online forum for certain things. I know that in the past I've used a group on Facebook for picky eaters when my youngest was a wee bit picky with his eating. So things like that is very important. It's about finding people who are like-minded, people who will not judge about what's going on, and the situation. And as I say, that can be online or offline depending on what support you have around you. It's also really good to delegate things. So if you're in a household where it's just yourself, obviously you would need to make sure that you were doing all the stuff in the house, either a man on his own or a woman on a woman on her own. But obviously depending on what age your kids are, they could help. And if you are in a partnership, it's about looking at dividing the labour. Is there things that we can both do? Is there things that we both enjoy doing and we want to contribute? And sometimes it's about sharing the mental load as well. So it's about looking at, there's loads of things coming up. How can we handle this? What can we do about this? And it's different. It's different for different families and different ways of being. So, some families it'll be normal 9 to 5, and then the mum and dad are at home and they're there at the weekends. Other families work shifts and work weekends, and it's like your ship's passing in the night. I know that for my family, my husband works 6 days a week. He's out in the morning before we get up. He's home after dinner time, and I work 4 days a week, but I also work the day that he's off. So it's about what works for you, but it's about sharing that mental load of it and also sharing the physical load as and when you can, depending on your commitments. It's also really good to try and do some physical activity. So it doesn't always have to be the gym. That's not what I'm saying. But if you could go out for a walk, get some fresh air, if you normally take the lift, take the stairs, give yourself a wee bit more physical activity. And if it's you could go to classes and things like that. And obviously it depends on what kind of time you have as well. And if you are really juggling a lot and you are juggling work and the kids, classes and things like that can be difficult. But there's a lot of stuff online where you could do a 5-minute class in your living room. And it's about making sure that you are really active and making your body active. And that can really help with the mental load because you're actually being physically active. What I would say is there's so much going on. So it's really, really important to appreciate the family time that you do have. So because you're working, you're juggling lots of stuff, maybe school, nursery, all of that. If you are having limited family time, it's really important to make sure that the time that you have is quality time. So it's not about the quantity of the time, it's about the quality. So even if it's as little as 5-10 minutes, colouring with the kids, having a wee chat with them, having a laugh, having a joke, even just cuddling up on the sofa, watching a programme is really important. It's important for you, but it's also important for the kids. They won't always remember the expensive toy you bought them, but they'll remember the fact that you read to them when they were going to sleep. They'll remember the fact that you cuddled up in bed and that was the time that they felt safe to talk to you. So these things are really, really important. What I would also say is that in this day and age of lots of social media and people putting out perfect photos of their family life and what they're doing, it's really important not to compare yourself to other people. A lot of people online will put their best foot forward, everything's pristine, everything's photographed in a certain way, maybe photoshopped. So what I would say is unfriend people, unfollow people, anything that makes you feel less than or bad about yourself, or like you're not doing everything you need to be doing with your children. I think it's really important to distance yourself from those people. So be aware that online personas, people are always putting their best side out there, and it's rarely the reality of what's going on. So focus on finding what works for you and your family and not others. It's all about you, your family, and your happiness. It's also helpful to set goals. So if there's a lot going on and there's things that you would like to achieve, writing down small achievable goals and focusing on one goal at a time is really helpful. And also celebrating each of those goals once you achieve them is helpful too. So if you're wanting to achieve something and there's a lot going on, it's about taking the time to take a step back and figuring out what's important to you. And what I would say, the last thing I would say is ban guilt. Don't expect perfection. Perfection is not possible. And guilt is something that we put on ourselves, but actually it's not valid. We try our best in life, in work, in family, in trying to get a work-life balance. And it's really important to try and shift your focus onto what you have achieved rather than what you haven't, and celebrate the positives on a regular basis. What works for your family is not going to work for everybody, just like everybody else's family is not going to work for yours. It's about finding what works for you and what gives you joy and gives you happiness and brings that into your life. And as long as you are striving towards a work life balance, even if you don't have a very balanced work life balance, as long as you're working towards that and making sure that you're doing all these things to try and bring happiness into you and your family's life and bring a balance, that's what's important. And it's about making sure that it's right for you, for your children, for your partner, and for your family. And if it's right for all of you and you're happy and you've got that balance and you're working towards that, then that's the main thing. So I hope you got some information out of this video that's helpful. I hope that you liked the video. If you have any comments about what you do for your self-care or what you do to take care of your family and get a good work-life balance, then please put it in the comments. You don't know who that's going to help, and it would be really helpful to find out other ways that people use to have a work-life balance. And even for me, I work towards a work-life balance, but I don't always achieve it. So I would be very happy to hear your thoughts and what works for you. So if you liked my video, I'm happy. If you would like to like and share, then fantastic. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. So take care.